Marhaba, guten Tag everyone. This is Amira Akra and I'm excited to be a part of Humans of Telecom.
Hey everyone, a very warm welcome to Humans of Telecom, the Unplugged podcast. This is your host Anurag Aggarwal, Chief Revenue Officer at GMS. As you all know, this is a platform where we pull back the curtain on the fast-paced world of telecom and highlight the personal stories of key figures in the industry. Some stories leave us inspired, some shocked, and some even rolling on the floor. And on this episode, we are excited to introduce our guest, a driving force behind advancing messaging solutions within the telecom sector. With a wealth of experience in the CPaaS industry, she is now leaving a mark on a prominent global telecom player. While this technology enthusiast has been very active in the industry, she got my attention only recently when she joined the Mobile Ecosystem Forum as a global board member. And it was interesting to know her background consisting of multiple different cultures, both at a personal level as well as the type of organizations that she has worked with. So, please join me in welcoming Amira Akra, Product Manager Messaging at Vodafone Germany. Amira, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this journey. We'd love to hear more about you. Which part of the world do you belong to? And from where are you joining this podcast today?
Hi Anurag, and thank you so much for the invitation. It's a pleasure and looking forward to it. So it's my first podcast and I'm a bit nervous, but I hope it's going to be fun. So actually, I'm a mix, half Lebanese, half German from my mother's side. I've been living in Germany for the past 8 years. I grew up in Lebanon. And it's not so sunny today. So we're going to bring the cheer in the conversation, I hope.
Awesome. That's amazing, Amira. And yes, I'm sure it'll be a very fun conversation. So let's start with your journey. You mentioned that you're half Lebanese, half German. I'm guessing you've grown up in Lebanon initially and now you're based in Germany. So how has that entire journey been? What made the transition happen? And how has your career been so far? So could you share some stuff with our listeners today?
Yes, sure. So actually the telecommunication was like always the main part that I knew that I wanted to be at. It started like a challenge back in the university. So what major do you want to do? And computer and communication engineering in Lebanon wasn't the easiest major, so to say. And I managed like to have that, got my master's degree as well and started with a PhD back in 5G when it was only like on the papers 10 years ago. But halfway through, I decided that this wasn't like the career that I wanted to stay on and switched to working actually with Monty Mobile, a service provider in the telecommunication business. I did that for 6 years. And then lately I moved to Vodafone, which was like a different environment, a different mentality, a challenge. It wasn't easy, but I can assure you there wasn't any single second that was boring in my career so far.
Wonderful. Yeah, I can imagine. I guess there are so many aspects, and moving from more of an academic side to more of a business side, I'm sure it must have been very interesting. And within this entire journey, Amira, if we would like to highlight, say, one or two major moments which you'd call extremely memorable or impactful, which would those moments be?
Yeah, so actually I mentioned that I've cut off like my studies to start working. And it was like my interview with Monty that actually made me realize that I needed to change. And the first question that he asked me back then, and this is something that I will never forget, is, Amira, what's your hobby? Is it to like gather certificates and degrees? Because back then I didn't have any like professional experience in the working force and so on. And this just like hit me. And I said, yeah, you're right. I need to change that. And this is how it started. So that was something that I will forever be grateful. And yeah, that was the moment that it impacted my career take.
Wonderful. And I'm sure interacting with Monty must have been quite a memorable experience. I have had one interaction with him earlier in this year in Turkey, and it's very interesting. There are people who appear very differently when you see them on the cover of a magazine or somewhere online versus when you meet them in person. So I'm sure you must have had your experiences as well.
I agree. I agree. It was really fun working with him. He's just, let's say, a very interesting person. And we shared a lot of successes together, which I was proud to be part of.
Interesting. All right. And now, Amira, let's move to what we call the human side. So, no focus about work, more focus about Amira.
Yeah.
So, let's talk more specifically about you as a person. So, Amira, while so many people in the industry know you, but if there's something about you which the people around don't know of about Amira, what would that one or two things be?
Um, Actually, it's in my earlier days, I really couldn't stand being around kids, let's say. So I used to like run away from the room if there were any kids in the area. So, if they needed like entertainment or came like for a visit, was something definitely not for me. However, it indeed changed when I got my own kids 7 years ago. So currently I'm a proud mother of two. And thankfully, this didn't stay like the same. But many people are like shocked once I got kids. Are you sure this is something for you? Yeah, but like they're the center of my life at the moment. So yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. I guess things do change. One does change their preferences and their interests with time. Your outlook about things change. And I think that's what's the natural life progression which we all experience. So, yeah, fair
I
enough.
think so. Yeah. So you don't only grow on the career level, you grow as a person as well. And with family, you realize how important they are. And for me, being a mom, even if it wasn't planned, it was definitely a welcome change.
Wonderful. And other than being a mom, what else does Amira do to recharge herself? Do you have some other passions or interests that you can talk about?
Sure. I love to read. So I've read more than, I think, 200 books in my life, if not more. And I'm interested in all genres. Lately, I've been focusing more on like biographies from big persons worldwide. And I joined a book club. So we gather like once a month and discuss the books that we are reading. So this is like the mix of reading, shutting down from the daily routine and delving into like a different world, and then getting back and socializing through the book club with people from different, aspects and ideas, and just having that exchange of thoughts. That is how I recharge myself from the hectic and routine of life.
Wonderful. So you do have some interesting things out there, and they do seem to overlap with your existing academic passions as well. Like
Yeah.
your earlier thing, which you mentioned about pursuing the PhD. So I guess that overlap still remains.
In an indirect way, I might say. It's not very mathematical as it used to be.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Wonderful. All right, Amira. Now we play a game, and I'm guessing you're aware of this as well. So I
Mhm.
ask my guests to come up with three statements. Two have to be truths, one of them has to be a lie, and one would like to see that which one can I guess as being the lie. And for me personally, while I've tried multiple times, I've often failed. But let's hope that this time can be different and maybe I get this right. So, would you have three very interesting statements for us today?
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't easy. I gave it a lot of thought. So here it goes. The first one is on my honeymoon when I got married, I went parachuting with my husband. So I jumped off a plane, and my father doesn't know till this day. So sorry, Dad, if you're listening to that. Number two is back when I was doing my master's, I was like 23. I taught in a school for a year. So I had like 200 students rotating every week. And number three, many people who know me see me in a different hair color every time they do. And the most like crazy bold color that I've tried is blue so far. So these are like the three things.
Interesting. So the first one is that you went skydiving during your honeymoon. Okay.
Yeah.
That quite adventurous. The second being that at the age of 23, while pursuing masters, you've taught in a school. And the third is that you've colored your hair blue. Interesting. Okay. Now, if you ask me, I feel, Amira, looking at you and whatever I've known of you, all three seem to be truths. But if I have to give it a shot and try and say one of these, so let's presume that you have not taught in a school. And the reason I'm saying that is because I'm hoping the other two are truths. We'd love to hear about your skydiving experience. We'd love to hear what was the experience and reactions from people around when Blue Amira was walking around them. And while I'm pretty sure that the third one, that be teaching in a school, I'm sure that's a truth, but I'd like to believe that's a lie. So I think the second statement is a lie. The first and third are truths. So am I right out here?
Anurag, I have to disappoint you.
All right.
But actually, the blue color is the wrong one.
Okay.
It's been like on my mind forever, and every time I go to the hairdresser, I say maybe next time. But so far, yeah, it hasn't been a reality yet. But I did teach for a year in a school. It was like high schoolers, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. I taught them programming, which was back then not very popular at schools. It was more of like a university curriculum. But I taught them, I think it was HTML and CSS, if I'm not mistaken. And due to I was 23 and they were late teens. We were very close in the ages, but we had a very good relationship with them. And I still have a lot of people on my Facebook, and I see that they already, graduated university, got married, and have their own kids, which makes me feel old. Yeah, but I did that and I enjoyed that. I love teaching, and I try to do that as well with my interns at my current work as well. So this is like the second point. And for skydiving, yes, this is, I know, a little bit crazy, even for my standards, but I wanted to do something exciting and unforgettable with my husband, and we decided to do that in Dubai. So we jumped over the Palm, the famous Palm, and it was amazing. I wouldn't do it again, but it's definitely something I will never forget.
Interesting. I guess skydiving over the Palm is a very interesting experience. I've never done that myself. I did skydiving over a decade ago. I did that in the US, but
Oh,
I mean, there was no picturesque palm sort of a landscape below me, but still, it was a thrilling experience. And I'm sure you must have had a great time as well. And maybe just like your opinion about kids changed, maybe you do think about doing another skydiving soon.
maybe. We'll see.
Awesome. And with that, the last question of this section. While you've told so many interesting aspects about your life, but suppose if there is one thing that you could change about your life, what would that one thing be?
To be honest, Anurag, I don't think that I would change anything. Every experience that I've had, whether it was like good or bad, challenging or not, I think that it all added to the person I am today, to Amira that I am today, and everyone knows. So I think everything happens for a reason, and I would haven't changed anything.
All right. Fair enough. We'll let you go with that. While it's a very diplomatic answer, but still, we'll let you go with that. All right, Amira. And now we come to our final question, our signature question. What does being human mean to you? What sort of a human being would you want the world to remember you as?
Being human for me is all about sacrifice and sharing. So I think that nothing would make sense, whether it's a victory or a failure, if you cannot share it, with your loved ones, your close friends, or your respected colleagues. So that's like the essence of being a human being. It would be very lonely if we didn't have to do that. And how the world to remember me, I think it would be more in the direction of the diplomatic that you just mentioned, the one who listens and takes action when she can, and who's just, there, if it's like on the career-wise or on the personal-wise.
Interesting. All very true to the personality that I've seen of Amira so far. So I think it all is perfectly fitting in.
Thank you, Anurag. Thank you.
All right, Amira. So with that, we come to an end to our episode today, and it was wonderful to interact with you. I think we've yet never had so much of an opportunity to interact in person. So while we met briefly in one or two events, but I think it's so nice to finally unwind and discuss things beyond work with you. And I'm hoping that the people around as well, they resonate with some of the things you said. And I do hope that in the coming days, we do cross our paths again and I get to catch up with you. And I do hope we see you with the blue hair at that time, right?
Thank you, Anurag. It was much fun and it was my pleasure being your guest today. Thank you.
Thank you again, Amira. And as always, to our wonderful listeners here, thanks a lot for tuning into the show. We hope this episode gave you a good glimpse of the human side of Amira Akra. Someone who's born in a Lebanese environment but is now making her mark all over the world while being based in Europe. Someone who's a technology enthusiast and a book lover and has also done a skydiving once. Someone who has now become also a doting mom. And finally, someone who we do expect to see flaunting a blue hair in the future. That for us is Amira Akra. So, if you enjoyed today's episode, do stay tuned in, because we shall soon be releasing yet another episode and another compelling story from the telecom space. And do follow the podcast on your preferred streaming channel. On behalf of Humans of Telecom, this is your host Anurag Aggarwal signing off for now. Take care.